Hey, and welcome to VFX Tutors. I'm Josh, and in this tutorial we're going to be continuing with our hard surface modeling of our flamethrower. So on our previous one we did a bit more of the trigger housing and the inside bits, so now we're going to move on to something a little bit, not complicated, but a bit trickier on the hand grip. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying this series so far. I know they're quite long, but if you want to get into modeling assets, it's not a quick thing to sort of do. There's no quick, you can't do it in 5 minutes. But anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help, and let's get going. Okay, so previously that we've got up to this part, we've done this sort of inside bit, which we'll probably still have to go back to later, because I think there's some extra bits that we need to do. So, we're going to do this bit now. It's not overly complicated, it's more of an annoyance sort of thing. This stuff's pretty simple. Then it's kind of curved and curving off in all sort of angles. So, excuse me, my throat is still pretty rough. We'll just go through. I'm pretty much going to do the exact same thing as I've been doing throughout. Let me just pull that blind down. Probably gone quite dark now, but anyway, shouldn't be looking at my face. Cool. So I'm just going to start off, as I usually do, I'm going to map out all these sort of complex bits. And there's a certain level that you probably like. The scan's gonna be lumpy in areas, so you kind of have to pick and choose the bits that are going to work well. And don't just solidly go follow it with quad drawing, basically. Cool. So I'm just going to go through and block all this out. I'm not too bothered about just actually make sure we get the right way around. We want the inside. Ooh. Let's go to our tools and reset our tool. Object. Sometimes it goes a bit funny and you have to go along a rotational axis. Cool. I'm not too worried about height or length at the moment. Just getting that sort of rough. Sort of position it in. I'm actually going to so if I actually let's freeze the transforms on that. I know it's we've got it at the angle we want, but just for this sake I am going to, now I know, just for the case of uniformity, this is quite uniform, even though it might not show in the scan. I now know it's let's go 0. Let's change it to 0.4, see if that makes a huge difference. No, so now we can just go edit. We can use a duplicate special if we want. And we can do translate in the X minus 0.4. Oh no, let's pick, I'm not going to count it, I'm just going to gamble at 6. And we're pretty close. And I guess we could adjust it. Let's hide that. My throat. Just going to duplicate that. Probably going to be quite tricky to get right because the scan is so messy around here. Sorry, just had to clear my throat then. Haven't done anything apart from doing that, so we've kind of guesstimated our edges. It's a bit strange around here, but we can sort that out. We can always look at. I forget we do actually have our model, so I can actually just turn around and have a little look. Cool, so now what we can do is just kind of do what we do previously. Let's create a box. We can probably hide these for now. I'm just going to do what I usually do with these sort of shapes. Just pull that to so we're not necessarily modeling it as it is, but say right now we're just getting that outer line. It doesn't matter that that's hugely oversized because I'm just going to delete it anyway. You may not get it exact. But you should be able to get it pretty close, I think, maybe. Maybe 0.25. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I can't quite see that, so I'm just going to delete. Oh no. Let's just hide that, so it's kind of a soft edge. Let's bevel that. 0.05, something like that, maybe. Maybe a bit too tight. 0.65. I just think that's a bit tighter. I think that's actually, that bit there is actually quite pointy. Maybe not that pointy. Can't quite see what's going on, so Cool, so we've got a rough outline of our edges, our sort of guidelines, which are going to be super helpful for us, as always. I'm just going to pull that up so it's not so distracting. So what we'll do first of all is actually extrude this in at least, because we're quite tight on that corner. It will need fixing. There are ways we can avoid doing that, but it's really not that difficult to fix. So we've got plenty of complications that we're going to have to deal with throughout this. So for now, we're just going to keep it. We actually forgot to do this bit in here. Can't quite see what's going on, but I think that's about right. I'm going to try so hard not to clear my throat, but it's quite annoying. I got bad throat, but it is what it is. So, got our basic outline. Let's bring back all these cubes. So effectively we want to at least try and make this work together. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. But as long as we kind of keep it flat for now, it will make our lives a lot easier. So we're going to kind of just ignore the fact that it's kind of not matching right now. I'm just going to combine it as well. Hold, I'm just going to snap the pivot to the top. Hold V and just snap into V. So now we're dead aligned with that. I'll do the same with that. Let's delete all this junk. Okay, so it's probably safe to say that we can actually delete this now. And let's delete the edge and that. So it just makes it easier to see what we're going to work with. So the bottom part, it's much deeper at the bottom. Apart from that, I think that's the only thing that we need to worry about. And the rest is matching up the geometry. So We can even get rid of... Yeah, let's get rid of that. Cool, so now we're just dealing with our complete flat surfaces. You know what, I might even get away with just scale it in one. Just figure out how thick this bit is, and we'll get going on the rest of it. I don't think it's actually... I'm just checking what I've got there. Cool. So, and don't forget we can always, if we show our cameras, because don't forget we still have all our cameras that we can look through to check anyway. Just gonna pick one that's kind of, it's got to be because yeah, just basically sometimes it's just not gonna see very much in the scan, so what we can do is just use our images to help us see. So we've got 6368. I'd usually do this at the end anyway, because now we can sort of compare what we've actually got. So I can actually hide the scan. If I just turn our X-ray off for now. Now we can actually see if we're doing it right or wrong. And we're kind of close. Maybe this isn't as uniform as I thought it'd be. But what we can do, we can just... Now we've got like a very clear depiction of what it is. We can adjust it more manually. So this one does go right up to the edge. That is a thick one as well. And if we wanted to, we can really go into like fine tuning it now. See, there are some sort of broken bits in this as well, so do bear in mind of that as well. Cool. So I will just make sure I label that one so I know. And I can hide that. So now I know I've got a pretty close, accurate sort of depiction of what that is. We can go through and start figuring out how we're actually going to join this stuff together. So I'm just going to start here. Just going to roughly place some edges in here because I know I'm going to need so now I'm going to need something for this edge. So I kind of want... I don't want that, basically. What I want is... I basically want to... Let's just crudely put it in for now, just so it's easy to work around. So I don't want it to go as a point, I want it to be as a... I definitely made that more difficult than it needed to be. But hopefully you guys would have seen that before. I made such a bloody mess, but oh well. Cool. So that's what I wanted, so when it smooths it's nicer. And then so I want to do the same for here. So I could have just done that, but I didn't. And I probably actually want to cool. So it's sort of building this nice sort of pocket in here now. You probably can, just for the sake of it, bridge that. Sorry if I clear my throat, it's just the worst. And the rest is actually quite simple. It'd just be effectively adding the edge loops. We can kind of use this whole thing as a guide. And that will allow us to keep our straight edges. So I guess we're kind of doing like a manual quad draw, but we're not doing it necessarily on the mesh because it'll probably make a mess. Well, obviously we need to fix that edge there as we start going through, but of course broken the edge loop by doing that. So I'm just going to add all these bits in. We could add that one to that one and that one to that one. So I'm just going to combine those. Let's delete the history. I'm going to make sure that I target weld from here to there, just so I know it's always keeping that perfectly straight line. So some bits look really complicated, but when you start like planning it out, they're not as bad as they sort of seem. That being said, we've not quite got to the end of it yet, so I'm not gonna jinx it yet. But so far seems to be going okay. And I'm just doing that by eye. You can probably be a little bit more precise, I guess, but it doesn't particularly matter because it actually joins onto the end and folds down with the rest. Cool, so we've kind of got that area mapped out there. And we just need to do the same for the top. So that bit, probably just bridge that. Let's sort out both those ends first before we do any more, because that will become quite annoying. Cool. Now, when we do the multi-cut, oh no, it should continue to go straight with us. Let's just make sure these are as close as we can get, because we're going to target well to them. We don't want to make them sort of too wonky. Although saying that, if you make it too perfect, it kind of starts to look a bit weird. But so it's one of those things where you kind of got to gauge it and try and keep as close to the reference as possible, which is pretty much the most important thing that you have to do in anything modeling, visual effects, and all that sort of stuff. So keep to the reference and you should be okay. God, it's so annoying when it doesn't get it. It doesn't quite get it sometimes because we're actually working at, although we're working at real world scale, how far we're actually zooming is actually quite small. We can just, why not just, that's not going to work, is it? So actually need to clean this up so it looks so crazy. So can now just do this. What? So we've got this sort of rough, obviously it's going to look nasty in those bits. So now we want to try and join this up. Probably going to be the most trickiest part. I'm going to try and rotate this round, see if we can find any sort of logical home to some of these edges. So, this will be the trickiest part. Let's bring in another cylinder. And let's see if maybe more subdivisions might help. So I think we're currently on that. Let's bring our wireframe machine so we can actually see it. So yeah, we're on that currently, so let's actually 20. Let's see if there's a better number that will help us. Probably 20 is going to be our best bet, I kind of feel, maybe. Yeah. It's a tough one, I must admit. And if you really didn't want to do this, you probably could just not. There is that. You could probably just put it in and not bother, but I am trying to make this kind of like getting through those modeling challenges, because you're going to get them. And maybe not generally in this case, but it's all about the problem solving part of it. I want to make sure that I'm actually on component with that before I slide that up. So effectively what I'm doing now is just trying to find homes for these. You know what, I'm probably going to make it so there's enough edges in there as well. Just so there's some wiggle room for it to sort of stretch out. There's probably going to be probably in these sort of areas, there's probably going to be a little bit of stretching, but I think maybe we're within a good amount of reason to be okay, to basically. But you will never know until you put your subdivide onto it. Because it could look all fine now, but then once you subdivide it, it could look awful. So I am I'll just do this for now. Oh, I hate when it just doesn't do it. And it happens. Because I don't want to actually... Oh, maybe I'm not actually... Make sure you've combined the mesh. Because you'll be having that problem all day long if you don't. Oops. Come on. clearly not thinking very well at the moment. I'm on multi-cut. Okay, because we're not on this edge or on that outer edge, this inside edge is going to look a bit funky, but we are not going to worry about that yet. We're just going to get this. Our main goal at the moment is to get this right and not do it too crazy, which I think I've left these out a little bit too far. Because I'm going to kind of change my method halfway through, which was probably not a good idea. Let's hide everything else so it's not going wacky, because I'm making messes. Where we got to be careful with stuff like that, because we got some serious stretching there. As long as we don't, because we're on the inside of the loop, basically we're not actually harming the shape, but it's good to make sure we don't have any sort of craziness like this. Still, because we'll probably have enough problems to worry about later on getting this to work subdivided nicely. We should be alright, but it's always good to have a little eye out for stuff that might go wrong. Cool. So we've basically built our entire sort of outline of it. What I will do, pretty sure I've been fairly safe with it. I'm just going to scale it all in the y-axis so it's flat. So if I press 3, I'm just checking for any weird bits. So obviously this is just doing that because it's not got hard edges. So let's now I'm going to save this. Because I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to get this right first time round. I do try, but like I say, this is not rehearsed, so this could go very wrong. I hope it doesn't, because we've got a lot of hard edges here we need to worry about without affecting the inside here. So we've got to figure out how to keep these hard edges in without making an absolute mess of our geometry. But we still need to add a load of edges here to sort of, so we can actually build the curvature on it. So if you remember, we've kind of built it flat, but and we've lost our texture. Why is that? because I turned it off. I seem to be clicking on all the wrong buttons today, which is kind of getting annoying. Okay, so we've got our shape. So shall we... Let's actually make that shape first, because I think if we extrude this down, it's going to actually make some difficulties for us. Whereas whilst we're at a flat plane, actually makes it a lot easier to do that sort of stuff. So the first thing that I need to actually do is add some subdivisions into this, because this is not going to work as it is. So I could just hold Control or Shift and do that, but because I had that selected, it didn't work. Right, I have to turn my brain on now because it's actually starting to get annoying. I keep messing up. Right, what is going on? Still need the history of that. Cool. Do you know what? I'm actually going to do this in orthographic because I can do it a bit better. Just turn off those cameras. So I'm just holding Shift and left click. To be honest, just kind of making arbitrary edges, just so when I do make that curve, it curves. Oh, that'll be alright for now. I know it's not perfect. I'm going crazy. Cool. Just checking we've got roughly the same amount. I know they're not perfectly aligned, but what we want to do now, let's just delete the history of that. And we've saved it, just in case we go wrong, which we probably... You know what? No matter how many times you can do this, you're still gonna sometimes do boo-boos. So I like to use lattice quite a lot. And basically this is just like a very... kind of think of it like a very controlled soft select. So if you imagine, grab all my points here, I'm just going to raise it and I'm just going to start my sort of base height here. I believe you can actually rotate this. You'll be right. Cool. So what I'm gonna do is use this to pull only in the Y. And you probably have to do a little bit back and forth because it's working off the curves. And because obviously a lattice doesn't exactly fit the shape. You just have to be just a little bit careful. But hopefully you kind of get the idea. Because this would be a bit of a pain in the butt to sort of model to it exactly like that. Whereas now we've kind of got the exact shape we want. And now we'll just go through and get that sort of curvature on it. So what we'll do is just go around and just do it bit by bit. It might just take a couple times to go around and get it nicely refined. That's looking pretty good. And obviously we can sort of nudge things in slightly if we need to. We're just kind of looking for that over round curvature. So I'm just going to turn this on and just check we're not doing anything weird. It should be nice and smooth for us. I could probably actually remove some of these edges that we've added now. Where are that? Yeah, I think that'll be right. So I'm pretty sure it should have done a curve over it, but it actually didn't. It kind of... if that makes a difference. But yeah, we can sort of, because these were kind of arbitrary edges, because I don't know how much of the lattice that I'd probably use. Like, it was, I'm not going to be honest, it was very much guesswork. But now we can actually, might still need to add edges in later, but for now we don't need all this excess edges. It was actually a lot less lumpier than I thought. We didn't need, because you can up-res your lattice obviously, and you can have it to more detail. The more detail you have, the more edges you will need. But we're still going to need more edges in it anyway. Leave those in there. So we can probably... And so I'm quite surprised I haven't made a massive mistake yet, but there's still time. So we've got that nice curve. And we will need to curve this up. I don't know, I always used to think that the lattice would do the sort of smooth with it. Maybe I was completely wrong. Let's just delete the history from that. And if we press 3, we can check that it's not doing anything crazy. So it's going to look a little bit weird at the moment, I think. Let's just go from remove this harsh. Probably should have maybe. Maybe a bend was probably the idea, probably a better idea. You can try a bend. I'm just gonna. It's even when you're modeling, you still have to check edges and stuff. Like I say, it's totally down to how much attention to detail you put in, how much OCD is running through your veins. turn that off and just really want to get that sort of, let's really get that sort of curve nice, because it is borderline. It could be a lot better. That's one of the main things I think is probably to take away from this, is understanding that, like, not, you've got to be quite, not harsh on yourself, but if you're just like if you're always critical of your own work and wanting it to be better, that's not a bad thing at all. Obviously you can get stuck in a loop of constantly trying to improve, so you have to kind of find the right place, I guess. But the best thing to do is like hone in your eye, because especially if you're modelling, you'll see if something's kind of a bit off. Not done these bits very well, is it? Maybe that wasn't the best choice, but I'm gonna commit. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna select those edges. Just make a cut through there. Just so we've not got such a huge stretch. Sort of boost out that curve as well. Not too much, but cool. So next bit is going to be the most annoying bit, because now we need to make the insides. And to actually do this is actually quite simple. But the main challenge is to get it working under a subdivision. So if I just Control E, it's pretty much as simple as that. I do not think we'll ever get to see how deep that's supposed to be from the scan, so I'm not even really going to bother. So now what we can do is because we've got some very, very tight edges, probably going to have some issues there. Just sort these edges out. And I would like to think that I could probably just do this for all the holes, but I'm pretty sure that almost all these holes are going to probably need quite close attention, which is going to be probably quite time consuming, but here's what it is. And I think probably what I'm going to do, I will do that. No, I'm just going to do these. I don't think just doing sort of broad stroke blanket sort of modelling things over the top like bevels and extrusions is going to work in this case. So I think we might end up creating some issues for ourselves. So I'm just going to add edges. And maybe once I've done one or two and kind of got the action plan down, we maybe can just go into more broad strokes sort of things. Why is that? Why? Is that because we're at an angle, remember? So that's probably going to cause us issues. So maybe we should have... we could just extrude the whole thing and see what that looks like. Quick test. Hide this. Let's undo that. Probably could have just extruded the whole thing. That was a silly... Have I got enough undos? No. I don't know why I didn't do that. Oh god, this is going to be annoying now. I think partially the reason I didn't do that was maybe because it's going to cause us some issues. But, you know what? It's worth a try, right? And, I don't know, maybe I was saying this is probably the best way to do it anyway, so... Just going to select them all. Just going to Control E. Now if you yourself extrude up, we're going to get what we want, but the wrong way. But if I extrude the other way, it's going to flip us out. I actually don't know what I was expecting there, but I think I've just been an idiot. I think it's been a long day. Hopefully I've got enough undos to undo that again. Yeah, I made a mess. So... I don't know what was going through my mind then, but what's going on? I am doing lots of mistakes, but it's the pressure of getting it right. And the fact that I don't actually know how I should do this, apart from just winging it. I'm sure there are some tools out there that will probably be very helpful, but I've no idea why I keep clicking multicut. Very annoying. Oh god, just connect, man. I think it's good to work at such a small level. Sometimes it just doesn't like it, basically, but you'll just have to do what I tell it to do at this stage. So this is going to be inadvertently turning into an extremely long tutorial. You don't have to follow this. But obviously you do, that means that you're getting some of the views. It'd be nice to get more than a couple hundred views on a video for once. And I'm not going to do Blender videos. Before anyone asks. Not because Blender's not great, it's just the fact that there's already like 7 million people doing Blender videos. And the whole idea of this channel is that I'm using this whole stuff is just to get you ready for work, getting jobs and stuff. And I'm not saying getting Blender will won't get you jobs and stuff, but one of the best things you can do if you actually want to work in this sort of industry is just look on websites and see the job descriptions. That's pretty much the best thing you can actually do, because then you're going to know exactly what you need to learn, and basically, so yeah. This is why I probably want to make sure that I do this. Oh, that's very annoying. It's just I know it's not the best, but we can fix that just by doing. So it's kind of one. now let's do the others. At risk of... Yeah. Sometimes I do just think out loud. So I really wasn't expecting this to be such a long tutorial, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are watching it at this stage, well, what I quite like to do now is throw in some random words in the chat. So if you have watched up to here, I would like you to put in the chat cucumber. Then I know that you've actually watched it. You don't have to, but if I see someone writing cucumber, it'll mean that you've watched it, and I'll know, and that'll be good enough for me. I knew that'd be something that I've done. Bridge. Whoa, why are you bridging that? Sometimes it's just quite finicky pieces of modelling, and all it takes is just takes time. There's no quick. There probably is a quick method, but I'm just going to do it this way because and I like to be in control of everything, and at least I know what's going on. Probably going to regret doing that, but so should go back, make that. We could do us a little favour later on with some hard edges. I'm going to have to add it for all of them anyway. Let's see what that looks like. It's actually not going so bad. We've got, obviously, quite a few edges we could probably get rid of. I think probably best not to worry about it for now. I know I say that a lot. Maybe we could have actually we did something like that, we would add an edge loop there. Am I that bothered? It is annoying having to add that for all of them. So let's actually make a plan of action to remove these. Make an edge loop there. Can't do that. Maybe we can add a cheeky edge loop here. Target world. Getting absolutely blinded by the sun now. So we've just got to be careful we don't add any nastiness in here while we're reducing it. Obviously this does not look very nice, but we have reduced it. If you do pull them, make sure you add that curve back. What have we done here? I thought I'd delete that edge loop. Did I not do that? Well, let's do that again, but let's do that here so it's not such a massive stretch. Oh, sorry for you. God. I don't know if my brain is currently working at the moment. Just leave that for now. There's something definitely going wrong in my head. We can fix those curves. I think I'm probably just having a senior moment. Alright, let's start at this end and worry about that later. So with any edge we add in, we just need to make sure that we contribute to that curve. Really do not want to be adding all this in, so I will forcibly so we'll hide that stuff in there. Oh my god. I'm not having a good day today. Well, come on, man. Go to the right one. So we have... So even with that reduced, let's just see what that looks like with it. We've got some pinching in there. But I think that will probably go away once we sharpen that edge up. The most important thing is that we've reduced that. It's pinching because we actually need to get rid of that as well. Maybe I should have just done that. No. What is going on here? I'm struggling to figure this one out. Sorry, I'm sure. we got there in the end. That was actually surprisingly painful. But we've now got rid of those edges. That, not gonna lie, that was actually quite simple. So it shouldn't have actually been that difficult. But sometimes it is. Anyway. Never reduce that. I'm quite happy to just go through and add all this stuff in. And don't forget to add the slight curve to it as well. So we've got a ton of edges here which we can get rid of, which let's see if I can do that magic trick again. We've done it again. We're going to bring this down to match that one. Looks terribly low. Definitely made a kink here. Cool. This is going to be a massively long tutorial. If you've made it this far, say, I don't know, orange and cucumbers. I need to add these bits in. And I forgot to add that bit. We'll have to figure out that end bit for sure. But let's add those. Should be alright. Cool, let's actually add this together. Now we're coming across another problem. We've got to add these together. Let's get that in there. has been up, so we've got that little bit of curve. Let's gamble with sticking that on a bevel, because at least a bevel keeps our curvature. What have I missed? Can't. Just that bit. I don't know where you came from, so we'll just get rid of you. I think we're making some decent progress here. Although, we definitely had some brain scratching moments. But that's why everyone in VFX is bored. A lot of brain scratching. Cool, let's do the same here. I could probably get away with, let's just do that one. Something fairly reasonable. Always one. No, not. Yep. God damn it. We've got some flat edges here we need to sort of have a look at afterwards, but I really just want to get through this bit now. I'm sure you guys are. Cool. Alright. I'm actually going to add an edge loop there to fill that edge. because I think we can get away with it. Probably could just be selecting the edge loop and deselecting the ends. Looks like we have a troublesome bit. Yeah. So we haven't got enough edges here. Let's just add another one in, because why not? I don't think that will cause us any issues doing that. Cool. So we have done this fairly not super painful, but could have been more pleasurable. We've definitely got some issues in some areas which we need to sort of fix. But I actually don't think that bit's... that bit is actually supposed to be flat. Well, so we've finally done that bit. Let's save it. Oh, I know it's been a long one, but you don't have to watch all of it. You probably just skip to the bit where I'm not just thinking by myself. Just now the meat of it's done. We now need to make these edges sharper. So what I've done here, but let's have a look at what we've done. Okay, so let's look at this whole thing smooth. And we've got some nice curvature. Everything is just too sharp. So I am thinking out loud how we can do this. We could attempt a bevel. This is obviously really messy in here, which I'm sure we could have avoided. So the one problem thing with doing lots of bevels is that you're going to also create a lot of problems. But out of interest, let's just select all of them. Let's get rid of all the ones we don't want, because it's probably easier at this stage. If you're planning on using a bevel, I would not advise this, but I'm just kind of doing this out of curiosity. I know we've been pretty clean with our model, but I would not be surprised if there's something in there that the bevel doesn't like. We do not want any of these. I don't want any of these. Definitely don't want any of these. All these. Basically, you don't want anything that's... I'm going to get rid of that edge. And I'll be very surprised if this gives a result that we would like. But, you know, for science and all. Oh, okay, let's give it a go. Let's see what this does. It's actually done something very small because of... We've got an edge in here that we don't want. Maybe that is because if we deselect that, because there's the tiniest little gap in there. Missing that edge. So yeah, not done a... Not really done what we would like. Edges that we don't want. This could be a venture that we are wasting a lot of time on, but Need to check that we've got all the edges. Because even though I think I've got them all, I haven't. Any more edges I've missed? Actually not looking too bad, but we have created problems down here. See how we've got some of these bits are working, but now we've got these kind of strange, nasty bits. And also, because I kind of haven't actually gone anywhere, so this is kind of a nasty outcome here. Let's see if we can resolve it any other way. Let's just check that top. The bits are all good. A nasty bit here. We have annoyingly had an edge selected here. Let's just go back and just... For these ones that are going up onto the edges, I'm actually going to let them spur off, just so it allows them to finish their loops. But then I'll clean it up afterwards. Even that's going to create a pinch there. I can smooth that out just by so do not know why my cursor has gone like that, but anyway, so ignore it for now. But I am literally just transforming these along the normal, so they won't create such a huge kink. I'm just going to do that for all of them. Well, I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I know this has been an absolute long slog of a tutorial. It's not really a tutorial either, it's kind of just a walkthrough of watching how I may approach things. Albeit it may not actually be the best way. I am sure there are better ways, but I'm sure there are magic buttons, but I do like to do things manually, and so I can monitor it. Cool, so that's looking real nice. Just got to do this bit in here. So I probably don't actually need to select them all. I'm probably going to just actually do the top bit. And try and keep it similar to what we got. And you know what, that bottom bit, because we've already got enough edges, and I'm just going to add an edge loop. I think we're almost done with that. Let's just have a little look over, see if there's not any weird stuff. Quite an annoyingly complex shape. But also I'm pretty sure what we also may have missed is the fact that these top ones actually come in a bit. Which we may have already added. Too many edge loops in there to do it. Probably something we should have addressed right at the beginning, but it's kind of created this little ridge in there, but I don't think this matters too much. Not at this stage. Let's bring back our scan and see what we got. So we've got this kind of... The scan's looking kind of rough, so we could look for our camera. So it's looking pretty close. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe a tiny bit off on this. Screw bit. But I think if we do try and fix that now, we'll probably break. Ooh, I think that's pretty close. Maybe we can actually... Let's see how much this breaks it. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay. Oh my god, I need to stop doing that. I'm gonna keep doing it until it's Friday. My brain is... And I've just noticed something in this corner here, which is also very annoying. X-ray. We've missed a bloody corner. Hopefully... Oh no, we can't. So... Let's do a... That's very annoying. Let's see if we can undo. I'd rather undo and try and get that all in that one bevel. Okay, so might have to, hopefully we can go to our node behavior and maybe has no effect. Polybevel 8 has no effect. Okay, we can remove it just by turning the node off. We have definitely broken something. Oh, I don't want to have to fix that. Looks like we'll just have to fix it. Annoyingly, there's always one little... There's always one little shit. Okay, so let's duplicate this. Hide that. We can probably fix this quite easily, but I just didn't want to. Basically. We'll keep that because we do have that. We do have that. We do have that. We don't have that. We do have that. It's not the end of the world, if you know what I mean. I would, you know what I mean? I would just rather not. And I've checked it so many times as well. Here, what happens? So I'm just going to roughly get this in place. It's not quite going to match because we got the bevel and don't have the bevel. Made a giant mess. But hopefully it should be okay. Just get that right in place. Cool, so let's... Well, it's effectively just going to be completely broken here. And we can just mesh. history of that. Okay, so it's even weirder is happening now. There are. Well, that's annoying. That's why is that doing that? And why am I not being able to do this? Oh, I'm such an idiot. Sorry. I had isolated selected on. These are definitely might be people might be proving my point that long tutorials are quite making a lot of mistakes in this, which I'm not proud of, but honestly, I actually also don't care because I make mistakes all the time. And I know this video is only going to get like 3 views, so. Oh, just get it. The frustration starts to kick in. Not everything's super easy in with modelling. So we made a boo-boo. And we are currently fixing it. That's how annoying it can be if you don't check all your edges, if you bevel. And you really can't leave it, so you kind of have to fix it. And all that time we've just spent wasting on that. Oh, so we can probably actually get back to what we were doing. And that was, I can't remember. We were looking through the camera. I think we were just doing that edge. So we will just extrude it. We'll create that fat edge. We will just extrude this down. I don't think we really need to do it all the way through because we're not going to see it. So all we can do is hopefully we picked a cylinder with an equal. This is the other thing that I forgot. We can just finish this off quite easily, but cool. Oh, it's not very pretty, but it's sort of done. So now, finally, that has taken a. Let's just extrude this whole edge, bring it down. Let's get it flat. Let's bring it up to here, because that's where we're going to be. I feel like this has been quite an epic journey, doing this one a little bit. And we do need to sort of make it correct, because there are still some bits that are not correct. There's this hard edge, if we can look at it, it's kind of a rounded bottom. It's starting to get really dark as well again. So I'm just looking at that, and I can always look at the picture as well, but I don't know why. I just didn't look at the picture. But I think it's quite a soft edge on that one. So what I will do is just go to my orthographic top. I'm just going to kind of pull these out so they're a little bit better matching the edge. Some funky stuff going on here. So we get that curves out. So you don't want to actually bring it all the way to the edge, which I almost did. Cool. Let's just worry about this side. Because this front bit goes right up to the edge. It's only the back edge that isn't. I think it fits in that corner. Oh my god, I need to stop doing that. So this is where it kind of also gets a little bit tricky because do you know what's surprising? That edge does actually poke out over the top, so I was just looking at that and it actually does do that. So this is actually quite soft. I didn't think that would be a bit too much. 1.2 maybe. 1.2. Actually, before we do that, let's because it does kind of, this edge. It's only really this front edge bit that does it. So I don't know if I'm just being quite particular with my reference. Just going to do a big overall roll off of that, and I'll fix this bit here because it's obviously done something funny. So I'm actually gonna, ooh, what's going on here? The one thing I'm always doing is just making sure that I'm not creating more problems for myself, which I will always do, for sure. But if I'm going to make sure I'm going to try and fix them on the way. I'm just going to add another multi-cut there. I'm just going to try and create this sort of softer. Ooh. It's a very soft edge that we're kind of seeing in it. It's kind of something like that. No, it's probably the same. It's the same kind of same for the back. So we're actually not really using any bevels here. Just using what we have to help us with a softer edge. So I'm getting quite happy with that. Although our edges need to go a little bit closer to the edge. going to try and make this as straight as possible. Add some kinks in there by accident for sure. Just want to drive this right up to that edge so it meets nicely with the handle. So no doubt we're doing something very strange here with the mesh, so we'll need to check that. Let's go to our perspective. Why are you not going into perspective? Just double check we're not doing anything weird here. Definitely could do bring this up sharper. And I'm just going to check that we're not creating some really weird sort of wobbly mesh here just by sorting out these weird divots and the curvatures. Just having a good old look around. Cool, so I think that's pretty good. We've got some kinks here, which let's try and fix what's going on. So what happens when you have a node on the edge, which is what we do try to avoid. Hopefully it shouldn't be so noticeable. We'll now spread that apart. It's a little bit noticeable. So when you get issues like this, the best thing to do is try and smooth out the edge flow of it. Because the edge flow is a little bit janky around here. Just give it a look over. Check you're not adding any strange sort of height differences. I think in general that's pretty good. That was annoying though. We could probably fix that. So what does that actually need to get rid of that? That needs an edge loop to come down here. So you have one edge loop going up there. Probably should have made it go all the way down, so we could have this come up here. Oh, we could just see what happens if we had. Does that reinforce it? No, it makes it worse. Okay, so we don't need to, but it would be nice to get rid of it. So what we can do is save it because we're like 3 hours in doing this thing. This little handle thing. It's mad. Hopefully that should be saving. So what we can do is just turn that. Yeah, and sometimes if it gets stuck, just turn your mesh live. Turn my wireframe shaded on so I can see it. I'm just gonna. What I want is basically and sometimes this just helps for me to sort of think through it without actually having to mess up my mesh. So I'm effectively making a patch. I don't have to worry about messing up my mesh at the same time. So this is probably how we should have done it, but we didn't. But to not cause any problems, we do need to maintain our outer edges that we have created. And we need to maintain this. Because that's what we want. And we still get that. Yeah, that's what we want. Oh, no. Because now our node is not on the edge, it's more on a flatter part. We could probably I don't like it, but we're just going to deal with it. You can fix it if you want. I'm not giving up. I just think this has already been a long tutorial. And that's how you could fix it. You just build a patch, basically. So I'm just going to extrude this in. On the first extrusion, I'm just going to check all my edges because I know they're going to go like funky. Because some of these are quite tight edges. So I'm just going to make sure I clean that up first before I go any further with it. And I guess the finishing starts to begin. It's like usual, I like to start with the edges just because it's a quick win. Like the sharp edges, not necessarily the longer ones. Got some strange stuff going on here that we need to take a look at. It's a little bit better. So So it's actually entirely up to you if you want to fill this in. You don't actually really need to do it because we're not going to see it. That's what we can do. Excuse me. Clearing his throat again. Cool, so I think we're done. There's no need for us to go so into... What we do actually need to do is actually some of these edges are getting kind of lost. So maybe we do add another edge in there just so we're not completely killing that. And you might need to so what we can do is just use the transform component to probably not on all of it actually. Some wonky bits there we need to fix as well. So it's always good to keep an eye out on all the bits you need to fix because there's always going to be something. So I'm just going to use my transform component to push that out a tiny bit. Yeah, I am doing a lot of manual pushing and pulling because I just want to get it to exactly how I want it. And exactly how I want it is exactly, I want it to look exactly the same. Basically. Yeah, we've got some crazy stuff going on here, which we need to figure out what the heck's going on. Probably just me not checking what vertices that I've selected and just pulling them like a maniac. It's always good to check what vertices you're pulling because you could be picking something that you don't want. Oh, like there's quite a bit of a mess down here. That sort of fixed that. Cool, so just go around and make sure our edges again. Good top. Just thinking this could possibly be why I broke it last time, but just need to double check that's why is that not clicking and dragging into my viewport? It's getting really annoying. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, I think we're done. I know this has been an epically long tutorial. I don't even know how long. Hope you enjoyed it. That's how we kind of did that one bit. Yeah, so if you we have got some little pinching bits here, which I will go around and fix probably now, because why not? There's always something. I think that's been very strangely pushed down. And I do think this is now the end of this. Let's face it, this isn't a tutorial, this was a walkthrough of my cogs turning in my head. Cool. So now I got a grip. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've got this far, just say bananas in the chat. There are all the 3 other words that you have to say in the chat, which I'd really enjoy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and let's see you in the next one, if you really can stomach it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.